What on earth? Random information fact. Did you know that fairies actually played a role in the witch trials in Sicily? Doñas de Ferreras, and excuse me, I know my pronunciation is all off, actually translates to Lady of the Outside, and this occurred when Sicily was actually under Spanish rule. Now, this particular group of supernatural entities can be similar compared to the fairies in English folklore. Now, in traditional Sicilian folklore, these fairies would take over or become attracted to women deemed to have sweet blood. They would then take them to Benvento, whatever this word is here, by mounting them and riding flying goats. Now, these fairies were described as beautiful men and women wearing red, white, or black. But if you look down, you would notice that their feet were either in the shape of a cat or horse or some other type of round looking shape, which is a first for fairies, by the way. I've never heard that about fairies before. Now, they would also travel in groups of 5 or 7, and the male out of the group would either be playing a lute or flute or a guitar. So they would make music, which would then put their prey into a trance. Now, the fairies would split their humans into several different sizes, or several different groups, excuse me, and they would be split into nobles versus non-nobles. And every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, they would meet with these groups of humans in the woods, of course. Now, supposedly they met every March, and the fairy prince would instruct them that they needed to be benevolent for the year, but there were a group of fairies that could transform themselves into cats, and these cats were quite lethal. They would actually unalive. Now, like all fairies, these could easily get offended by humans, and there's one story where a man who was playing music accidentally kicked one, and he was harmed by a fairy, but he didn't see the fairy. The fairy was just sitting there listening to the man playing music and became offended because the man brushed up against him or kicked him or whatever it is. Typical fairy behavior, of course. So you say, where does the witch trials come in? Well, during the Inquisition and the witch trials, anyone who was deemed to be associated with fairies would be put on trial for sorcery. And there were 65 people who were actually put on trial for being associated with fairies. Now, the Inquisition, of course, would denounce these people as witches, but nobody actually ever took it seriously because the devil wasn't mentioned in any of the accusations against them. Fairies were. Now, I'm going to read you one story about the fisher wife of Palermo who was put on trial for associating with fairies. It says the fisher wife of Palermo was an unnamed Italian woman who was put on trial for witchcraft by the Sicilian Inquisition in Palermo in Sicily in 1588. She claimed to associate with fairies, and her confession was among the first that described contact between elves and humans in Sicily. Her case was among the first of many witch trials in Sicily associated with elves, and her confession was typical of such elf-related cases. Excuse me. She told them that when she was 8 years old, she had flown through the air with a group of women on goats to a vast field on the mainland in the Kingdom of Naples called Benevento. Again, I'll put the correct spelling at the bottom, where a red-colored teenage boy and a beautiful woman sat on the throne. According to her confession, they were called the king and the queen. She said that the leader of the women who took her there was called the ensign, and told her that if she fell on her knees in front of the king and queen of the elves and gave them allegiance, they would give her riches, beauty, and handsome men with whom she could have with, and that she was not to worship God or the Holy Virgin. The ensign also added that she should not mention the Virgin Mary, as it was bad manners to do so in the presence of elves. The fisher wife then agreed to worship the king as a god and the queen as a goddess, and she swore her allegiance in a book containing many letters, which was held for her by the ensign, and promised her body and soul to the divine couple. After this, tables with food were set forward, and everyone ate, drank, and had with each other. She also claimed that she had with multiple men in a short period of time, all at the age of 8 years old. After which she reported that she had woken up as if it were a dream. She claimed that she was not aware that this was sinful before the priest told her, and after she told him this, that such things were the work of Satan. She said that she continued with it anyway because it made her feel happy. On some occasions, she said the elves had fetched her before she had gone to sleep for the night to prevent her husband and children from noticing anything. She claimed she was awake the whole time. She also stated that the king and queen had given her medicine to cure the sick so she could earn money to alleviate her poverty. Now, the Fisher wife was interrogated a lot, and they determined that the existence of fairies, this had to be a dream, and they asked her plenty of leading questions to try to make her go in one way, but it kept coming back around that everything she said must have been a dream and not based in reality. So she was actually let go. I think I'm just going through the motions right now because, lady, what? Just what? Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was good up until the Fisher wife story, and now, what do you guys think? Do you think that she was having a dream, or was it possibly real? I mean, it seemed very detailed, but a lot of people do remember detailed, crazy ass, vivid dreams, and I'm confused on why it changed from fairies to elves. But yeah, that let me know what y'all think about this, because that's wild, right? That is insane. I'm assuming that is insane, right? Yeah. It